Okay, I'm at the European Climate Change Adaptation Conference in Rimini. I'm joined by Beniamino Russo from the Universitat Politècnic de Catalunya, who's also scientific coordinator of the ICARIA project, which is working on developing an asset-level modelling framework to understand the impacts from climate disasters. Beniamino, that's a very simple description of quite a complex project. Is there anything else you'd like to tell us?
The key words of this description is asset level modeling. So we are trying to include in our models the assets and the main service of a region to understand their capacity to respond complex disasters. In these complex disasters, we are introducing, for example, compound events, these events that can happen as coincident or consecutive. And on the other side, cascading effects. This means that we can have a failure, an impact on a critical infrastructure, but then we are trying to analyze also the propagation of these impacts on other infrastructure, other system, etc. So complex disaster in the sense that we start for complex hazard and we are trying to understand impacts and complex impacts, including these cascading effects.
Can you give us a sort of example that people can get their heads around, like what might be a compound disaster or a cascading disaster?
Yes, for example, pluvial or fluvial or river floods combined with storm surge that can affect a city, a failure of the drainage systems, and cascading effects on transport, electricity assets, waste collection service, etc. So these kind of things. So the idea is to understand as the whole region can respond to this kind of complex events.
Okay, so how will your framework empower sort of, it'll be local decision makers, right, or regional decision makers? How is it going to empower them to be better prepared?
Yes, the idea is to introduce this concept. We generally analyze isolated hazard, so we know what happened or what can mean the occurrence of this kind of disaster. But the combined effects of these compound events exacerbates the impacts. So the idea is to understand the added impacts, the added damage produced by this combination of assets, and put on the table, first of all, the cost of no action and the increasing of tangible and intangible damage respect to isolated risk assessment process.
Where are you getting all the data from? Must be huge data gathering exercise.
This is a good question because we need to validate, to calibrate and validate this model, other models and impact models. So this is not so easy because the frequency, the joint probability of these compound events is low. So we have historical data, we have historic information from historical events, but it's not so common to have information about this kind of compound events. So maybe we have for each of the case study of ICARIA, 1, 2, 3 recorded events, and we need to use this field data from our network of local stakeholders to calibrate and validate the data. But again, it's not so easy because these data are few in the sense that these kind of events are complex and uncommon.
Okay, and you're working with 3 case study areas,
Yeah.
right? Which is, would you like to tell us about those?
Yes, we are working on three different case studies because the idea is to propose a methodology that fits with very different case studies. So we have a large metropolitan area, Barcelona metropolitan area. The second region is the Salzburg region in the heart of Europe, as an Alpine region. And then we have the archipelago of South Asian region. So very difference in climates, difference in morphologies, in main features, but this mean also real possibility of replication and adaptability of our solution.
Okay, so you chose the regions to sort of be very representative, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. All right. Are there any learnings coming out of those case studies so far that you can share?
Yes, I think that the most important things is related to the involvement of local community of practice in the whole process of this assessment. So from the very beginning, the decision about the hazard of interest, the asset of interest, the service of interest for the three case studies. So we created this community of practice with partners, but also external stakeholders to understand the priority of each region. And we are working with them in the definition of the hazard, as I said, the asset of impact, but also about, we are discussing, for example, in this moment about the adaptation solutions, putting on the table the benefits, but also the barriers that some implementation of the adaptation measures could suppose.
Yeah, right, because no adaptation measure is going to be successful unless it considers local context and local needs, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
The concept, the philosophy of the project is to work with this local community of practice and understand the adaptation as a complement, as measures that could be considered as complementary among them. So we have not the idea to compare different adaptation solutions, but put on the table a large set of solution, nature-based solution, gray infrastructure, hybrid infrastructure, and consider the added value to propose at the same time different type of adaptation solution, again accepted by the local stakeholders.
Right, and really provide the information that people need to be able to take decisions.
Yes, but also the idea is to use ICARIA solution to assess the benefits of this solution. The sense that the idea is to compare the baseline, so the current scenario, with future test scenario. We refer to business as usual. So the idea is to evaluate the cost of no action and put on the table also this set of adaptation solution in order to demonstrate or to justify investment in adaptations according to data, economic improvements, so avoid the damage produced by this kind of hazard, but also benefits in terms of intangible benefits or co-benefits, etc. Multi-criteria analysis to justify the implementation of this set of solution.
Are you finding that people are receptive? I mean, you've talked about business as usual. Are you finding that people are starting to realize that business as usual is not an option?
Yes, because we think about climate change effects, etc., but not always we have the tools, the methods to quantify this possibility of no action. So when we put on the table the cost of no action in terms of economical damage, but also possibility of injuries or loss of life, etc. Of course, we capture the interest of each kind of stakeholders that we have on this community of practice.
Yeah, you get people's attention. So you've told us obviously that your case study regions are designed to be, or you chose them to be representative. How else are you going to ensure the replicability and the usability of, the tools, the solutions that you develop beyond the project?
Okay. Each of the case study in ICARIA is mainly focused on specific set of hazards. For example, Barcelona in this moment, we are analyzing compound floods events. In Greece, a forest fire with heat waves. In Salzburg, windstorm with floods, etc. Then the idea is to replicate at the end of the project. The idea is to replicate inside the project this methodology in other regions. For example, these compound events that we are analyzing in Barcelona, then the idea is to replicate the methods in Salzburg region. So we have an internal replication within the project with the idea to reach these results within the duration of the ICARIA project.
Okay, so you've actually thought about the sort of long-term legacy of the project.
Of course, then we have other follower regions that are interested in ICARIA solution, but this is a process beyond the project. But during the elaboration of the proposal, we decided to consider this internal replication of within the duration of the ICARIA project.
Okay, which are some of your follower regions?
We have several. For example, Valencia region in Spain, Crete Island in the Mediterranean, Macedonia region. So we have a larger set of region. London metropolitan area. So big European metropolitan area interested in on the effect of floods on transport, on metro station, for example, etc. So we have a large set of region, and we hope to enlarge this list, taking advantage also on the presence of this forum and congress.
Yeah, well, sadly, it sounds like, more and more people are going to need to pay attention to what you're doing.
Exactly.
All right, Beniamino, we've covered quite a lot here. Is there anything else that you'd like us to know about the project or about the topics that you're investigating?
Can you repeat, sorry?
Yeah, is there anything else that you'd like to share with us about the project, about your work?
No. I think that the most important thing that I would like to remark is the importance to have on board within the project the risk owner, so the potential mainly users of the tools and methods and methodologies that we are developing. So in the three case study, for example, we have local authorities, operators, etc. So this kind of stakeholders are the first potential users of ICARIA solution, and then great networks of potential users outside the project. So stakeholders, again, managers, technicians, and other local authorities, regional, supramunicipal, or at municipal level.
All right. Well, it sounds like you're doing a lot of great work there, and I think there's going to be some very interesting results coming out of the project. So, Beniamino Russo from the Universitat Politècnic de Catalunya and the ICARIA project, thank you very much for explaining your work to us.
Thank you. Thank you very much.